This changes everything for the Milwaukee Brewers. Their top offseason acquisition left the game injured yesterday. We're going to be talking about what this means specifically for the bullpen with the sheer amount of injuries we have, and also a positive update regarding Isaac Collins. Has he been named one of the top candidates for an award here in this offseason? We're going to be breaking it all down here in this video. Before we do jump into this, though, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to hit the sub button if you haven't already. If you're looking for all of your Milwaukee Brewers news, we're going to have it all here on the channel, and especially on a nice off day today, we got to bring some good news and a bit of bad news for you heading into the remainder of the series against the Phillies. We also know just over 98% of you guys watching right now have not hit that button already, but let's jump straight into this video because obviously we have some big stuff to talk about, mainly the injury to Shelby Miller and what happened last game where he did exit the game with an injury. And we got a small update from Pat Murphy, what he had to say on the topic, what this injury is about, and going on to what he said. It doesn't look very good. He said he heard something or he felt something pop in his elbow, and obviously not what you wanted to hear for your top trade deadline acquisition in Shelby Miller, especially as he was really starting to heat up in this bullpen and get to back to the kind of the pitcher that we traded for the Diamondbacks or from the Diamondbacks. So this is definitely not the update we wanted to hear today, and especially now undergoing tests and everything, we're still yet to actually get an update. But the way that we saw the reaction from Shelby Miller, everything that kind of went and how it looked on the broadcast and him leaving the game, you see in his face, he feels something there. He knows something isn't right, which is really not what you want to see at all, and especially at this point right now in the season where we have so many pitchers on the IL. This is not a very good update for this Brewers team. Now, Shelby Miller this year was pitching very well, of course, with the Diamondbacks, and as I mentioned, struggled a bit to start with the Brewers, but really started to come back over these last few games. And I mean, heading into last night's game, something like this was the difference in that game. And I'm not going to talk about the stuff that happened in the bottom of 9, regardless of what happened there, but going into the top 9, heading into, a game like this, where you have Shelby Miller and going into the 8th, letting up 2 runs, that is a difference maker in games like this. And when you have an injury, when you're lacking a very good relief pitcher, this is going to have some serious impact on how this team really structures their games going through November. And, I mean, pulling up what we've seen from the bullpen this far, and I feel like this is just a good example of how things worked out last game as well, and what we've seen a lot when this Brewers team is winning. We see Jacob Misiorowski come into the game early, have a very good outing once again. And then you do see the bullpen kind of collapse this one a bit here. But when you're taking a look at the order going through this pitching, you see an inning, just about an inning for everybody. And that's what they're getting if this Brewers team is winning. We've been able to see that, and we're able to understand why that is. But having Shelby Miller now out of this lineup causes a big need for some players to maybe go another extra few outs here in these games. And I know Pat Murphy's going to have a plan for this because obviously injuries like this happen. We know what happened, and especially the way that Pat Murphy kind of described that, it definitely doesn't help that a 162-game season with the injuries. But going in through this, you're going to see quite a few different looks now on the bullpen because Shelby Miller has been a very consistent face so far with this team while appearing from the bullpen and usually shutting it down. Now having one of your top relievers out, going into a very heavy month and continuing on now with this series against the Phillies here tomorrow, this is going to be something that we need to get good news from, or hopefully it is only something very minor. Although, as I mentioned, looking at the face of Shelby Miller here, it doesn't look great. Now, going in as well, I do believe, this is the rest of the month here. So, you're seeing a lot of teams where you're going to need to have a good bullpen. A lot of teams are pretty deep and are going to be able to be a challenge if they're on. So, hopefully Shelby Miller's all right. We're going to have an update when we do get an update on Shelby Miller once again. But as of right now, at least, what we're seeing from Shelby Miller and what Pat Murphy is saying is that he felt and heard something pop, which is definitely not good. So let me know what you think about there and the plan going forward for this bullpen for the Brewers, especially with this remaining series against the Phillies, a team that we could very well play in the postseason. But we have a bit of a positive update here today, and this one comes up from The Athletic based on Isaac Collins, and he's been voted right now at least, and of course the voting is not happening yet, but is the leading candidate for the NL Rookie of the Year. And this is what Levi Weaver says from The Athletic. He says, "This was the easiest pick of the exercise for me. Isaac Collins isn't just a good story, having a breakout rookie season at 28 years old. He also leads all NL rookies in FWAR with 2.6. and has been a key cog for this Brewers team that has been this season's biggest surprise. So, of course, having a very good win above replacement, and we've been able to see that while he's been playing. He's been a phenomenal player. And heading into this season, of course, we saw, hope there, and this exceeded all expectations. But not just at the plate, and of course, this season, when you're taking a look at what he's been able to do, it's been absolutely phenomenal. 8 home runs, not really the most power guy, but a 276 average, a 799 OPS, near 800, and very well could be upwards of 850, 850 by the end of the season. But he's also a phenomenal defender, and even though you're taking a look at his stats here, a 2 DRS doesn't necessarily show, he's as good as a defender as he is visually watching him. He fits the bill for exactly what the Brewers need in the outfield. And having him, Jackson Chourio, and really whatever you want to do in the outfield, they have so many options. Those two really seem to be kind of, I wouldn't necessarily the future of this team, definitely Jackson Chourio, but Isaac Collins at 28 has really found himself and cemented himself a spot in this lineup. And seeing him this year, the importance he's played for this team has been simply fantastic to see for someone, as you saw the story from Levi Weaver, being 28 years old, being a rookie, having all of this stuff that you're going through to get to this point in your career at 28 years old. It's just a very good, feel-good story, but he's also feeling himself playing. He's playing good, he knows he's playing good, and he knows how important he is to this team, but he's also taking it day by day as you would and what you need to do in the MLB. Since Pat Murphy and this team has really said that, hey, you got to earn your spot still. It don't matter if you've been the best player on this team. If you're not playing good, you're not going to be in the lineup. So having that kind of mentality, having Pat Murphy as a coach as well, a manager, is just definitely what you want to see for a guy like this who's been very, very consistent this year, and also having that feel-good story. So let me know what you think about these two updates that we have here today. We're going to have an update tomorrow, of course, on, at least when we get it, on Shelby Miller, what's happening with him with that game tomorrow, and finishing off the Phillies series here on Thursday. We got a lot of stuff coming. We're also going to have an update on a very interesting free agent that the Brewers are looking to re-sign. We're going to be breaking that down in next video as well. That's all I got here in this one. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.